Setting boundaries is not just a hot topic. It's not just something that was created by Gen Z. It is something which is very deep rooted in our DNA. It's a human need. Let's see it in the animal kingdoms. हर एक शेर का अपना एक टेरिटरी होता है. Every animal has a territory in which he operates and he is not allowed by the other animal to come into that one. Similarly, in human settlements, we have boundaries. हमारा घर, हमारी state, देश, these are all boundaries, right? What does boundary give to us? It gives us structure. It gives us predictability. It gives us safety. Similarly, even as human beings, we need boundaries, which defines who we are. Contrary to common belief, having boundaries actually gives you freedom to operate and interact with other people. On the other hand, having weak boundaries in relationships creates so much of enmeshment that it's more distressing than being in love. So in this video, let us understand deeply and correctly what making boundaries looks like. There are several types of boundaries. They can be categorized in different ways. For example, emotional boundaries. When somebody likes to just casually come and interrupt your work and starts talking about his own day or his own feelings, well, this is an breachment of an emotional boundary. Did he take your permission before starting to talk, or did he just assume that you have all the time in the world to listen to his sob story? Well, this is called emotional dumping. We may also be sometimes doing this to the other. Another example of emotional boundary can be asking for justification from the other person, as if it's your right to know the other person's reasons behind whatever the person is doing. Or on the flip side, having weak boundaries means that we have the need to justify each and everything that we are doing. Sometimes in therapy practice, when I am teaching my clients about setting boundaries, they come and tell me that they had the need to even explain to the other person why they need the boundaries in the first place. Well guys, that is an example of having the need to justify. This is what we call as emotional boundaries. Another kind of boundaries can be cognitive or intellectual boundaries. For example, in our households, we often use the word we, हम. हमारे घर में ऐसा होता है, हमारे tradition में ऐसा होता है. Well, when we use a lot of hum in our day-to-day examples, somehow personal identity gets compromised. Can I take a decision about how my room should be decorated? Can I choose to have different opinions than the family? These are called cognitive boundaries. My own ability to express and think a certain way. The third kind of boundary is physical boundary. Quite literally, it's related to your body as well as the space you are in. For example, your own room or your own home. Nobody has the right to touch you or come close to you or even make remarks on your body. And if a person is doing so, we call it the breach of physical boundaries. Fourth type of boundary is energetic boundary, also called as auric boundary. This is the kind of boundary which, when breached, makes you feel very low in energy, as if somebody has sapped out all your energy. Usually very, very draining conversations, conversations which you are not interested in, can result in energetic boundary being breached. There are other kind of boundaries. They can be related to how much time do other people ask of you without your preference, maybe barging into your daily routines. It could be related to as simple as taking your food or asking to lend money again and again. And lastly, a very important boundary is that of sexual boundary. Who, when and how much you interact sexually with is completely your choice. So if you feel that you are somebody who has weak boundaries, for example, you often feel being taken for granted, other people don't really respect your time, your work suffers because you end up giving that much attention to somebody else's work. If you feel that your energy has kind of got sapped from conversations and you couldn't do anything about it, this means your personal boundaries are on the weaker end. So if you feel that you are somebody who has weak boundaries, or maybe your boundaries don't even exist so far, these are the ways you can tell. You may be feeling like a pressure to please people all the time. You may sometimes feel that other people take you for granted. They don't show respect for your timelines, often dump their own work or keep requesting you to do theirs. In relationships, you may find yourself wanting to always be in the good books of the other person. And these are some of the ways that you can get to know you have weak boundaries. If you are stepping onto somebody else's boundaries, that is also something we would want you to be aware of. So if you notice the other person caving into your request, but you can also see from his body language that he's not happy doing so, or the other person has in the past given you subtle hints and feedbacks of how he doesn't want to conform to your requests, well, these are also signs to know that you are breaching somebody else's boundary. Let's see in which ways can you prevent your boundaries getting breached. First of all, gather correct information about this phenomena. You don't just want to imply boundaries without having your own reasons clarified in your mind. We just don't want to do something that's in trend and ultimately end up harming the intimacy in our relationships and our friendships. So first of all, gain knowledge. Second, get clarity about the reasons why you want the boundaries. What would boundaries make you feel? Would it make you feel more in control? Will it help you in your time management? Will it help you in your energy management? So have your reasons clear. Once you know that somebody else has breached your boundary, please be aware that most of the people are not doing this intentionally. Most of them don't even know that this is bothering you. And that's why it's very important to be assertive in telling them and not aggressive. Remember, we don't want to be in either side of the extremes. We don't want to keep giving in to requests all the time, but at the same time, we don't want to be aggressive in our communication to an extent that our relationship starts getting strained. So I would suggest always use I statements. I statements put the focus on how you are feeling in an interaction rather than accusing the person of having done something that's not right. For example, instead of saying you have made me feel bad, you can just say your constant requests makes me feel like I'm not doing enough, which finally makes me feel very, very upset about my own self. You can also give the person a solution whereby you can tell the person that I'm good with taking your requests from this time to this time. Maybe a phone call that the person wants to have with you. So always give solutions to the other person. If you feel very pressed in this matter, it is always a nice idea to practice with a therapist or a mentor who can train you into asserting your boundaries in a better way.